Otherwise, we still have Great Britain at war with the Swedes, and perhaps having a bit of trouble with the condottieri. I don't know if these Burgundians, no, they seem to have packed in their condottieri jobs. And the Prussian forces, they're just having a march around their provinces, showing off how incredibly strong they are. And they really are. The Prussians enjoying an enormous force limit, and they're not even touching on it. Heaps of dosh, with an income of 218, well, to be expected from having these incredibly rich German lands. And a lot of their lands, they had to state to be able to flip culture here. So they've even weakened themselves for all of this. But you can't really talk income without bringing up Portugal. So it's been very quiet in Iberia for this entire game. An early war with France, perhaps, that ended in misery for Iberians, and they decided, okay, you know what, let's just go exploring. But Portugal did something very interesting. From the very start, they took economic and trade ideas and transformed themselves into a grand merchant republic. And what they have done is conducted trade deals across the world to secure important areas. So, I mean, early on you saw them grabbing Cahors. They made their dibs over on Havana. They wanted to be getting these important natural harbors and then some. And that is why, if we look into the books of Portugal here, oh, we are playing Portugal. Well, I'll be damned. 853 ducats a month. That's obscene. It's a huge amount of money, and even after dishing out most of it, they're still ending up with over 300 ducats straight into the coffers by the end of the game. If Portugal mandated it, they could crush entire nations. They could just cut off supply, double down on how much their enemy sees. It's like, oh, those Prussian units look really strong. If only you could afford more of them. If only, oh, here's 300 ducats a month. That should support another 300 units every month. Portugal has more power than you might think, so think twice before you start saying, oh, there's nothing happening over in Iberia. They've got it planned out. You can see that there's a, well, we might as well check it out on the trade map mode here. There is an extensive amount of infrastructure put in place by the Portuguese. They're not even having to employ their boats around here. They've got the power where it matters. And they're taking the trade, it might as well all stem from China. I think that's as far as their influence goes. And they push it down into Malacca, push, Bengal, they're slurping up the trade. They're just allowing it to be pushed by Gujarat and Malwa. Well, Gujarat's doing them a favor there. I think Gujarat is drinking more than they really want over in Goa. They have a vested interest in crushing Gujarat, interestingly. Actually, I don't know why they don't do more of that. There's quite a lot of important centers of trade here. Ah, they've already gotten them, that'll be it. But they still want Gujarat dead. Pushing further over to Aden, or even over to the Indus and down to Aden. They'd probably, I hate to say it, they'd probably make more money if they pushed to Indus and down. Over to Zanzibar, the Cape, the Ivory Coast, and it all ends up back here in Sevilla. And with their enormous amounts of trade efficiency, they turn it into obscene amounts of money. They got 95% of that trade share, and then it's affected by technology, diplotech, traditions, guilds, trade policies, monopolies, quality cloth, advisor, focus with their fervor, and I don't even know what Casa de India is, but it spells buckets of ducats for Portugal. Even breaking the 900, they have been guiding their policies, guiding their ideas, all around making all this ducat. So, whilst I salivate over that, it seems we have a big war going on. So the Ottomans, what's going on for you? Seems that it's round 2. Prussia and Commonwealth and Spain, in fact, are coming to dismantle the Ottomans. The Commonwealth conquest of Biga, so they're keeping it fairly humble. They just want Biga, clearly. Now, the Ethiopians have joined in on this war. Unlike last time where the Ethiopians steered clear. So what's it gonna be? We have yet the Ottomans and Ethiopia versus Commonwealth, Prussia, Spain. I'm curious, is Spain a great power? Spain are not a great power, so unless my counting is off, we have 2 great powers versus 2 great powers. If we were to assume the mantle of another GP, nope, they're safe from intervening, since it's a 2 great powers on 2 great powers war here. The Commonwealth throwing so much at the enemy here. Excuse me. There we go. The Commonwealth really have the men to throw at this. Their manpower might not be through the roof. In fact, all things considered, it's... No, looking at the wrong nation here. There we go. Their manpower is pretty good. 200,000 there. With force limits touching the 300s, but Prussia does exceed that. The Ottomans are lesser on their force limit. When it comes to military tech, we're looking... Actually, the Ottomans high and dry here. They're only at 24. Their enemies are at 26. 26 offers a staggering +1 to morale, so the Ottomans are going to wish that they'd kept up faster with their mill attacking. Nonetheless, they have Ethiopia pouring in. They're on 25. And this is funny because the Golden Horde think now is their time to shine as well. I think that might need a touch of tweaking, but I'll speak to people upstairs after the session for that. So what's it going to be when we look at the forts that they have set up here? They have quite an extensive number of friendly areas around here, protected by their fortifications. And similarly, they have some here and here, but that's about as far as it goes. The inner core of the Ottomans is very undefended, so without a decent number of forts there, they're going to be in trouble. They're going to be in quite a bit of trouble. Because one area on its own won't defend, and if there's nothing behind them, then that's not going to stop our enemies pouring on through. And that is the crux of the matter when it comes to forts. So they can defend Hoodvanger, but without forts in other areas, they'll be free to walk into them. So what are they going to do? Well, this is certainly where the strength is. There's a lot of mountains here, and a lot of defense from forts. But the trouble is, the Prussian units are the ones that are going to slay. When it comes to player slaying, Iki is the man. Starnheim will win this sheer strength, says Korukan. Well, he certainly has a lot of strength on his side, so I wouldn't be too surprised. I have an incoming transmission, or perhaps even a gloat, from the Portuguese Grand Doge, who says that they will make 1,000 in trade income before the end of this campaign. So before we do end it, I need to remember to go and check in on that to see if that boast is as much as he makes it to be. So the Ethiopians are stationed and ready. They know that if the enemy come pouring in, they're going to have to make their defense in the mountains. Lots of mountains for them to defend here, but... Okay, so yeah, we have fortified mountain. We have other fortified mountain. They could probably go for Vertigo. Is it seriously always called Vertigo? Because that's kind of funny. Shirvan, not so good. It's just some open plains here, although we have more mountains if they want to pour in. The trouble is, the Commonwealth, backed with the Prussians, are more than ready for this. Poor Theodoro, though. I do hope that Theodoro... okay, our Padishah is confirming that they had named it Vertigo. That's good. I like that name. When I see a province this steep, I kind of think, where do you even live on this kind of province? You'd have to nail your house to the walls. Okay, they're going to need to bring some more artillery to all of this, because these are some heavy fortifications that the Ottomans have invested in. I like how we have crying in from the chat to leave Theodoro alone. Well, it might just be... Everyone agreed for them to be independent, so perhaps, just maybe, that independence for Theodoro will be part of what's demanded if we check how much that's going to cost. We say, cancel your subjugation of Theodoro, 12%. So maybe, they might have to push the Ottomans all the way, though. But what is going on? The British are doubling down their efforts to eradicate the Scandinavians, and on the battlefield the British have this. Unless the Scandinavians manage to beat them to Tech 26, which they might. Oh, they're a wee bit away. Tech 26 is far away. In fact, the British are just about to have Tech 26, and that would spell disaster for the Swedes. The same Swedes who are winning this war, they're still winning this war. They've got all their ticking war score from protecting Södermalm. If only their battles went a bit better, they would probably have enough to stab hit the British out of this war. But they can't be relying on the Prussian guards anymore. They are busy. Yeah, they are quite busy here. So a gap in their defenses allows the enemy through here. We should be able to see that because yet they don't have protective forts in these areas. Plenty of forts across the way though, but there are still gaps in the defenses for Prussia. Then again, there wasn't too much time or money to fortify all of their areas, so we'll just see how it goes. They might be concentrating on just slamming into the Turks. We have a Prussian stack heavy on artillery here, but he knows that it's a bit dangerous to get cut off inside the country. Otherwise, what's this going to be for the Ottomans? Interesting. I think we'll let that bubble away whilst we admire what else is going on. Luba is in this war. As we can see, they're contributing their finest here, making sure the giraffes won't cause any problems in the war. Oh, Bjorn. Somebody needs to tell Bjorn to get out there and show us what he's made of. You think, Anders, you can get on Bjorn's case and tell him he's got some enemies to shoot down with his Luban troops?
I might be able to do that.
Wonderful. Otherwise, though, Ming and Malwa just steering clear of this. I'm interested about the Malwan-Ming rivalry there. Is that going to culminate in anything? Because as far as I'm aware, these two haven't come to blow. But that doesn't say too much. Ming has been a sleeping giant for so long, and they're actually top dog right now. Even besting the Commonwealth, although the Commonwealth are short some institution love. If we check out just how much they're short of it, because they're taking 24% tech penalty until they embrace the Enlightenment. The Enlightenment is only in 2 of their 192 provinces. And it's going to be very, very expensive for them to embrace. It doesn't look like they've been investing in many universities. So that would probably be contributing to it. The university, yeah, well, we can actually check there if we just go to universities. Where are they? They have the Great University of Moscow and the Great University of... yeah. Enlightenment's going to have a hard time spreading around here. Tricky times. So this just shows the Prussian might when it comes to them versus the Turks. The Turks are extremely lacking in morale. Even though they have military drill, they don't have the all-important Tech 26. In fact, they are sorely lacking it. That said, with sheer number, they are driving off the Prus. Prus comes back in. They'll probably get a river crossing unless their maneuver is so good. It is superior to the Turks, though. But Prussia is so strong, especially, well, they are just so strong. If we're looking at it, they have not got any of their militarization, so they're not getting the bonuses out of that. But when it comes down to it, they have the goose step, they have private to marshal, they have the finest horses and the massed battery, and they're not even using their policies. They could have extra morale and siege ability, discipline from their admin idea. He was cracking that joke earlier today, yeah. Weapon quality standards are the best admin idea, he says. Then again, we just saw a Prussian stack wipe there. That doesn't say very much for Starnan's war-waging ability here. He's running out of morale here. He just can't stand up to the Padishah's endless Janissaries here. Run as fast as you can. But I don't think it's going to help. Splat. Okay, so gotta hand it to the Ottomans there. Despite the Prussian superiority in forces, They weren't quite able to stand up to the Ottomans' numbers. Of course, to the north and the east, we still have the bulk of the Commonwealth forces. Now, Iki is not the player slayer for nothing. They're pretty good on the battlefield. They're pretty good overall. So what's our Poland into Commonwealth player going to do? The Ottomans have managed to keep this looking pretty good, as long as they keep hold of Biga here. Because I know where Biga is. I should know. Oh, okay, there we go. Well, it's heavily fortified, so it might be a little tricky for them to get that easily. And now the... Wow, led by the Ethiopian admiral, the Great Fleet has come out to play with the Spanish. And what a fleet! 100 heavies. They may have their work cut out for them, since their morale is pretty low compared. But I think they're going to put the Spanish in their place. We'll see how this unfolds. We're being asked how the war in the New World is, since the Ottomans did have interest there, but we'll see. I'm curious about that myself. So what is quite interesting here is that although the Ethiopian and Ottoman fleet is superior in numbers, raw numbers they are pretty damn good, the Spanish Armada is more up to date, and they have a wider combat width for battle. That was pretty amazing. That was a show of quality against quantity on the high seas. And I want to have a look at Spain's fleet to really emphasize what happened there. So Spain had upgraded themselves to 3-deckers, which are superior, quite measurably superior. In addition to that, they seem to have bigger engagement width. I'm not sure if that was down to their maneuver or not. It's a shame the battle is over there. But it seems that their quality fleet outdid the Ottomans there. So looking at it, they have got the quality ideas from there, but the Ottomans, did they not take naval? Maybe I was imagining things. I thought the Ottomans had gone down the naval route, but no, that would be the British. So Prussia, come to your aid. So, well, Saxony needs your aid. I wonder if they'll be going for that.
Jake, a quick update while we're at it. As you know, we are running a poll each week in Stream Chat for who deserves the win. And currently, Starnan is in the lead with 33% of the vote.
Interesting. You got that...
It's on screen right now.
Now.
So if you look up...
Oh, right. The big screen.
Yeah.
You might be able to tell, but I got the big TV in front of me. I'm half blind, so... Okay, who deserves to win, I like, is because that's a key bit of question. That's not who will win.
No.
Who do you want to win? That's who deserves to win. And Starnan has fought war after war against insurmountable odds. And whilst he did not win these wars, I think he's won in the long term, being able to form mighty Prussia here.
And I think that's also why we see Björn B on Luba in 4th when it comes to deserving winners.
He's got a one-track mind, so he does. But yeah, Iki has done pretty damn well for themselves over in the Commonwealth. So, well, that's kind of told by them being in 2nd place. But, wow, interesting. Make your voices heard, though, because that's how we get this, get these numbers. I want to see who you, the fans, really back in all of this. Although I didn't see an observer bit there, you know, I think...
I thought about adding a DDR observer, but I felt like it would be a runaway hit, and then we'd just have to remove the top vote. And be like,
nonsense, nonsense. You know, our people deserve a voice in who should win all of this. And I think it's only fair if our observer, our great and benevolent and unbiased observer, has their fair shot at it. Oh well, a thought for the future. Maybe you're right. Maybe it would be unfair, just capsizing the vote there.
Well, I mean, it is a popularity contest.
I see at the very least, Max Wikil says DDR Jake is going to win.
Well,
damn right. Observer always wins, baby. Tell you what is so strange, though, the Ottomans are making one hell of a comeback here. They're pushing into Irene. They want their old home Constantinople back. Constantinople is not the best of defended provinces here. But what else is there? There is still the Commonwealth pouring down in from the north. And whilst they might have bested the Prussian units over here, actually speaking of the Prussian units, what is going on with Prussia? They seem to have taken quite a lot back. They're spending money on I don't even know what. Buildings, oddly enough. They're at war, but they're building loads of buildings. I'm sure they know what they're doing. Counting houses are pretty damn good, so gotta hand it to them there. Get that extra production on all that sweet money-making goods. Still, they're going to have to act fast, or else they're going to lose these provinces to the Ottomans. They'll need to march in, consolidate their units, and blow them away if they want to win. But what the Ottomans are doing is really impressive. The Ottomans, a lot of people said, oh, they're done, they're dead, stick a fork in them, they're done. But with Ethiopia by their side, they are standing resolute against the oncoming forces of the Commonwealth and the Prussians. Somebody said I'm coming in late. Who is fighting who? We have the Ottomans and Ethiopia versus Prussia and Commonwealth. I mean, numbers-wise, we're looking at 3, 4, 5... 1, 2, 3, 4... let's say 600,000 on the Commonwealth side. Sorry, on the Ottoman side. And on the Commonwealth side, 3, 4, 5, 6... yeah, well... a little bit numbers-wise in the Commonwealth and Prussian side, but it's a defensive war for the Ottomans. Those forts have to count for something. Spain is involved, though. They're bringing some numbers into all this, although they're not really bringing their troops as far as I can see. They are asking, or they are being asked, what they desire out of all of this. There is fighting, however, going on in the New World, because, let's be fair, Spain is involved here. They are slaughtering the Prefectura Santa Cruz. Spanish La Plata, Spanish everything helping out here. We can see what the Spanish see here. But the Spanish are not quite up to snuff against the Ottoman forces abroad, though. The Ottoman colonies standing firm. Well, perhaps not over in Santa Cruz, but Prefectura Venezuela. They're pushing back against the Spanish colonials. It doesn't seem that the British are involved. The British are still thumping something against Sweden, but we're not sure what. Whatever the case here is, though, although Sweden defends their war goal, thanks to battles, thanks to blockades, the British are keeping that war score at least respectable. I'm surprised they haven't gunned down Bornholm, though. It's the most important province there is around here. So I don't know what Spain want, but they're not piecing out anytime soon, it seems. The Prussians are sending the Ottomans packing. That enormous morale difference. What a difference. Goodbye, Ottoman forces. So Prussia just needed a moment to solidify what they had in their own country. Otherwise, they're gunning for it. Burgundy, ever the one to get themselves embroiled in wars here and there, they have decided that the Burgundian, Brabantian imperialist war is in their best interest. They're trying to bring around Brabant, Nassau, Nuremberg. I gotta hand it to Nassau. They've done incredible this session, and they're still not dead. Prussia is still the Holy Roman Emperor, though. They do have a great danger of having the Ottomans become top dog if they leave it like that. So it might be in Prussia's interest to cap the areas around here, since that'll leave them fairly undefended and they can push back into the Ottomans. They're relatively safe because the Ottomans now can't flee back over here. They have the defense of the Spanish Armada here, keeping it strong. I would love to see an Ottoman comeback here in the north, though. They have the mountains on their side, but if they're not attacking into them and taking advantage of them, then they're just sitting and burning on attrition themselves. They seem hesitant on an attack here because they can count the number of well-made Commonwealth stacks. Commonwealth themselves are piling units onto Tabriz. No, it's not Tabriz. That's Tiflis, how silly of me, not getting them right. I just noticed I had an incoming transmission from the Prussian monarch himself. It's just a pun though, he says, a bigger fight in bigger. Terrible. Terrible news for the Ottomans as well. They have been punched out of the great power rankings. It's probably because they don't have their institutions up to date, so their actual rating is falling from that. And if this war concludes as Prussian Commonwealth victory, then that's going to be them kicked out of great powers for quite some time. Biga, however, remains unoccupied here. So the Ottomans are keeping their score from that, but it looks like they're going in. The Ethiopians have decided now is time for the war march. I never realized before, but damn, those Ethiopian troops dress with enormous swagger. Might be dangerous though, the Commonwealth can see this coming, the Commonwealth is acting accordingly. Commonwealth are being treated as the attackers here, since it is a fortified mountainous province. When it comes to fighting, the Commonwealth not quite so strong on the battlefield as their Prussian brethren, and you can tell because they're getting slaughtered here. But they have numbers where it counts. They have a lot of numbers where it counts. Their morale is still superior, and they managed to get the tech advantage here. But that will offset the mountainous aspect of it. Ethiopia also engaging in harassment tactics to keep reinforcements away, but not from both sides. So it looks like they're going to be sent packing away. There we go. A victory for the Commonwealth, and the Ethiopian forces are having to run and run far, it seems. Yeah, they're shattered, retreating fairly far away. So well done for the Commonwealth. They managed to hold firm, keep their siege going, and once they secure that, they'll be ever deeper into the Ottoman territory. In fact, they are quite close from being able to run amok within the Ottoman lands, because as they flip these areas from hostile to friendly zone of control, we can see that now this is Ottoman land, but they've managed to flip the fort, so this is now friendly to them, hostile to the Ottomans. They'll be able to push in, and then the Ottomans are going to run out of places to, well, run. The Caucasus has become unpassable now. Yes, we've added quite a few wasteland provinces, meaning that they cannot be crossed. So we have impassable terrain across the Caucasus. We also have it across quite a few provinces here. Can't see them because I set it to fill them in with color. We have them in the Alps as well. We did it to the Pyrenees. So now Roussillon and Navarra have become that bit more tactically important to hold on to. So area-wise, you would, if you're playing Navarra, if you're playing Aragon, you absolutely want to have Navarra and Girona? Catalonia. And that'll only be made better if you manage to grab Toulouse and Labourd, fortify them, and just stop the enemy from coming any further. So the Commonwealth are just praying that the siege ends soon. They haven't brought in a general with any siege ability. Although it doesn't look like they have... well, they have one, but he's not on point there. And Prussia's trying to take this down. Of course, Biga is still in Ottoman hands, so the Ottomans are only barely failing this one. The battles are looking to be on Prussia's side, though. Seems like it's take two when it comes to the battles. The Ottomans see their opportunity, but like I was saying, the player Slayer, he doesn't miss a beat here. He saw that things were tricky and marched straight in to relieve his besieging force. And down they go. You might notice that this has actually gone up here, the siege progress. Failed attack will actually boost that up, and that could be what helped this province actually fall. So with that, the Commonwealth can push ever further into the Ottomans. Now, we are fairly late game here. We are 1726. If we check out technologically how our people are doing, they've got administrative efficiency of 40%. That really, really increases the amount of land that one can take when it comes to making peace. So that's dangerous times. Okay, we have an incoming transmission, not about the war, but about something else that's very dear to my heart. We have the... what does he even call himself? The Grand Consul Philippe Teles de Menezes. Sinner by name, but by night makes loads of money. 1,104 ducats per month from trade from Portugal. They are swimming in buckets of ducats. I don't even know if our players know that, but I think they're dishing out the money left and right. Nobody wants to get on Portugal's bad side because Portugal could then fly money into the pockets of all their enemies and say, well, I guess you've been cut loose. So now it's the Ottomans who are holding out in their own fort in Erevan. And the Commonwealth just thinking, where do we go here? Bjorn is flexing. He has brought in the Luban troops. The Luban 5th Army is in the north, over in Rabat, wondering where the enemy is. The enemy's clearly ran away, because you're too strong.
Johan just sent me a message, just saying, stack wipe on Sui.
Stack wipe on Sui, eh? Now, I'm not sure if that's a stack wipe that has just happened or is going to happen, but the Swedes are running away from the British here.
Well, Johan has always been one to be mysterious, so...
Okay, so this war that you could be forgiven for thinking would not go Britain's way, they've managed to turn it around quite a bit. Sweden are now losing this ever so slightly. But the British need to take Södermalm, and they need to bring a lot of cannons for that. They certainly have. They haven't brought any siege pips with them, though. Doesn't look so good for Sweden. We'll check back with them later to see if they can make a turnaround here. Doesn't look like they have the units to do so. Speaking of not having things, manpower is tapped for the Ottomans. Their unit numbers are low, so they must have consolidated with what they could. But what are they doing? What can they do? They have Ethiopia's backing here, but Ethiopia has managed to drain quite a lot of their manpower as well. They're still enjoying all of their Copto bonuses. But if Spain, you are not getting 100% demand. You will have to demand that together with your allies. Okay, so Grugi is trying to lay down the law on Spain. I wonder what Spain wants. Spain could probably just demand some luxury colonies from the New World, but we don't know if that's what's going to happen. I do find it very funny that our laser here in Spain is demanding 100% off of the Ottomans.
Yeah, so just got some word from Johan again. Apparently the stack wipe was 145k stack.
Okay, well, I feel bad for the letter Z. I know they have a meeting directly after this, but I wonder if they could come in just a little bit before we finish up to give us some update on the welfare situation.
It's you keep missing the D at the end.
Welfare.
Well, actually, now you sound in Norwegian.
Oh,
But I can go ask.
What's I have one question, and there's what's in Norway? This is Sweden, right?
Yeah, that's I don't
Always
know.
has been.
I assume it's that island that's differently colored in the middle of the yeah, that thing. That's probably Norway.
I have my doubts. Maybe this is Norway.
Possibly. Or it could just be, you know, someone that misspelled Björn Holm.
Björn's home. Okay, well, if you at home know what a Norway is, please let us know, because...
I mean, it's not here.
No, okay. We've searched everywhere. We can't find it.
The mythical country known as Norway.
Okay, cheers for the update there, Anders. We also have our great Doge saying that their goal was perhaps a bit humble. Maybe we can think of a loftier goal coming out from the Portuguese later on for this campaign, because they're still we're still a bit away from the end date. But we're not very far away from the end of Biga. It is crumbling now as the Prussians attack and attack more. They're going to bring down these forts, and then there's going to be... Well, there already is really nowhere for the Ottomans to hide. Much of their forts and their zones of control have already been compromised. Once this one is down, they only have a few here, a bit of a perimeter fence, if you will, and it just takes one chink in this, and then their enemies will be able to flood through their land, which is unfortified. To be fair, it was a good defensive border, but the sheer might of the Ottomans making their way around the Caucasus was too much. Similarly, they could not set up a decent defense in time over in Biga and Hudva. Forget it. The Biga area was not able to stand up here. Spain not making peace though. They don't want to sell out their allies. Spain is being troublesome for the Ottoman Empire because of their actually fairly high quality armada, which I find quite respectable. So what have they done to help with that? They've done all right in their Diplotech. They managed to get themselves 3-deckers, which are the best. If we look over at the Ottomans, they are still stuck on 2-deckers, which are significantly worse than the 3-deckers. And since there is combat width on the seas, those 3-deckers seem to have torn the enemy to shreds. We have peace, though. Did Spain's colonies grow? Because I strongly suspect, yet Spanish Brazil just ate up a chunk of land there. Didn't seem to be much in the way of Spanish Peru, so I would like an update from Spain or the Ottomans or somebody to see what the peace deal was in the end there. So that I find interesting, but maybe they can send us a quick transmission to here so we can know what went down. Alright, bad moves for the Ottomans. They tried to, it seems like they attacked into mountains which were occupado by the Commonwealth. But here come the Ethiopians by force. Sadly, they're attacking into the mountains across a river. It's not going to go so well for them. This is Vasca units. They still did not have the ever-important Tech 26, so the timing was not so great for them. This large attack is simply an exercise in arms for the Commonwealth. A Banzai charge, perhaps, even. Then again, the Ottomans have won these engagements through sheer force of number before. Could be that they're going to do it again. There's still quite a lot in reserves there, although, no, they're coming and they are going. Whilst all... Luba, you can do it. Now is your time. Oh, Luba could have upset the balance of things, but decided not for them. So, quite a few of the Commonwealth forces have retreated back home. I don't know if they think the war is over or not, but with this, it looks like the Prussian units are in position to do as they feel. Disease as being the greatest ally to the Ottomans over in the province of Kokkali. The Luban betrayal. Damn it, Bjorn, that was bad. I'm just reading from the chat here. Those are your words, not mine. So, incoming transmission from our laser. They said they settled for 5 provinces over in Santa Cruz, so he wanted a new holiday home for himself over here. And these are all Coptic provinces, so I don't know if he's going to tolerate that that sort of nonsense or not. It used to be very multicolored over here, but now it's looking very Copto-sandwich. The north's got a bit more of the clown puke going on. We've got animism, we've got Sunni, Catholic, loads of Protestantism, and more Catholic to the north, but Breton Canada. I'm so very pleased with Brittany. They've held on for a long time here. This I'm not so pleased about, though. They're a vassal of France. What a shame. Otherwise, looks like the Prussians are occupying the Balkans. Now, the Commonwealth, what did they go to war for? They're going to be wanting their victory card over here. It's worth 2,000 points, and what is more, it will unlock the 4,000 point card for them. Now, the Commonwealth, when it comes to, well, not the Great Powers, that's the wrong one to be looking at. We want to look at score comparison. Commonwealth are actually a bit low, but if they had their 2,000 points, then they would be rocketed right up to 4th place, with not too far to go to crush the Ottomans. When it comes to score accumulation, the Ottomans are still outdoing the Commonwealth when it comes to score. In fact, in accumulation, Commonwealth are really very low. Militarily doing really well, but diplomatically not so hot. And administration comes a lot from their income. So if we check the admin rating, you'll notice that Portugal is more than double the next down. So it's not that Portugal aren't doing too bad for themselves score-wise. In fact, they're doing fairly well. I'm wondering if they couldn't just buy their victory cards. Because if Portugal were to do that, and that is not a small amount of cumulative score, 6,000, you'd have to look to probably Ming. Okay, so France, Great Britain, and Ming. If Portugal were to just buy their victory cards and not have their old one lost, they might be able to come out of this on top through sheer force of ducat. And that's the strongest thing on earth. So Sweden has signed a peace with Great Britain. I don't know what the peace was. It doesn't look like they've lost much, or even anything, but perhaps it was just an exhausting war all around. Speaking of exhausting wars, though, the Ottomans, who managed to hold out for so long against so many, are slipping. Their score has just crumbled now, and the enemy is rife within their lands, although this one fort's holding out for a heck of a long time. A heck of a long time. Why the GB hate? Who could possibly hate GB? Well, perhaps Britain just had work to do in the north. They have to slaughter Pawnee for starters. Neither side seems to be making their peace, and the Great Horde separatists are rising up. They want their land back. They'll probably be hard-pressed to take all that land back with the fortifications that they have. The Commonwealth are tapped on manpower. They're also a couple thousand ducats in debt, which will not work very well towards them getting the institution that they need. They still only have 2 provinces with the Enlightenment, and Moscow is not one of them. They have it in Warsaw, capital spread right there, and I don't know if they conquered another one. That's how the Commonwealth get everything they have. They just conquer it. Heck, even the Ming have the Enlightenment, so the Commonwealth is going to be learning from their eastern neighbours. And the Great Horde. The Great Horde will rise up and teach everyone. How about Red Gotland? Ah, of course. There, I was thinking that was British all along, but no, the British decided they wanted Visby for themselves and settled for Gotland. The Gutnish are at it. Korea and Kangra, so the Mughals are just enjoying a couple of wars there. Korean reconquest of what now? Yeah, okay, they wanted to bring the Ming down, but that is not going to happen. It's a sad state of affair for the Great Horde, but at least they know which part of them is great. And they're still a horde. I love the Golden Horde. Okay, so it's feeding time at the zoo here. The Commonwealth and the Prussians are making their push. Seems that the Ottomans did not want to give up so easily. Sadly, though, the Ottomans and Ethiopia still do not have that all-important Tech 26. No, Ethiopia does. Ethiopia actually does. This is interesting. They'll be able to actually bring in a better fight than the Ottomans themselves. But when they're marching face first into the highlands with, what's that, 113 discipline? But the Prussians have more. The Prussians at least do not have wicked mad high levels of discipline. They lost the bonuses that they would have had there from their government because it's now down to their militarization of country. And since they're too large to actually hold a decent militarization level, they're skimping a bit on the discipline. But they've still got their Prussian ideas. They've still got a lot working on their side. We've got a pause going on here, so I'm wondering what is happening. I think we will continue on there. Then again, Anders, you might want to see if Zeke wants to join on in.
I'll go have a quick talk.
I know he said he had work to do, but I don't believe that.
That's because you haven't seen his computer. But yeah, I'll see if he can squeeze in a few minutes.
Because I think a lot of us need to be enlightened on what this welfare is, since there was some questions on the forum about it. It's like, what is this welfare and when will we see it? So 1, 2, 3 provinces to Prussia, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 provinces to Commonwealth, and an additional 4 to Prussia. So they're kind of hungry for land here. Don't know if the Ottomans are going to agree with such a thing, since it's probably going to rip their heartlands out.